We are going to go over how to request your records from Twitch. May or may not help you in similar circumstance like I was in, where you're accused of stream sniping. You know, in my case, I requested it and I feel like it helps my case, but they're just not willing to listen. Okay, so what you want to do is you go to your Twitch homepage, okay? Or your Twitch settings. You find your Twitch settings, right? Settings. And then we're going to go security and privacy. We're going to go down to the bottom, okay? And we're going to request to download your data, accounts and identities, viewing and chat history, VOD history, like bits and subscription. Yep, I want it all. Thank you. Next, select a date range. You only get, well, I don't know if you could do custom and you could do like 180 days. I'm not sure. Let's try it. Let's try custom. Let's try December 1st. Is that, it's more than 90 days, right? December 1st to today. Okay? Today. Update. Yes. Report 9. You have requested 9 reports. You receive a notification when your reports are ready to be downloaded. Please allow up to 14 days. Okay. See, and now it says processing. Now, once they've come back with the copy of data that they're going to give to you that you requested, it's going to have a download button, okay? My download button's not there anymore, but what it does is it takes you to this request zip drive, okay? Let's bring this to the front. You get this request zip drive, okay? All right, now site history. So you get a bunch of data. This is just the raw data in the form that it comes, okay? Now I've consolidated the data out of all of these documents into this. And easy to read, I've already pulled out relevant information, right? Okay, so I'm going to leave that on my top screen for reference, okay? And again, this is request 1. Okay, I'm going to open it. I'm going to go to site history. And I think on page view, okay, here's where I got to be careful. I have to hide some personal information. Okay, because this is, I just open it up, it's raw, right? I can't edit this document because Twitch has security embedded in it. So I can edit it and make it fancy like this, but then I gotta take a picture, because when I close out of this document, it's gonna revert back to its state that Twitch gave it to me in, because it's a it's a document of record. It's not meant to be altered, right? Okay, so let's see. Country, time, we got a time. Let's see. 12/8. We're looking for a day in question, which would be the 4th, right? We're looking for the January. Oh, there's the 3rd. Here's the 4th. Okay, so now, right, to make it easier to read, we're going to highlight all of January 4th, the day in question. Let's just make it all yellow. Okay? I'm going to go up to the top and I'm going to, if you're familiar with Excel, then you'll kind of understand what I'm doing. All right, page layout. So what I want to do is freeze pane view, freeze panes, freeze top row. No, it did it wrong, right? Here, freeze, unfreeze panes, no, freeze top row. Okay, so now where it says what's in the columns, as I scroll down, that stays with me, right? So again, I just made a small alter that just makes it easier to read. I haven't altered any data. Okay, so now we go down to the day in question. I think I just passed it. We highlighted it, right? Wait, did we not highlight it? There's the 4th right there. What happened? 1/4/2025. Okay. Let's re-highlight the 4th, please. That undid my colors. Okay. So now we're looking at the 4th, and we've got the name of each column. The first thing we focus on, obviously, is the time, right? Anything that's got a time mark. So this time is kind of hard to read, so I'm going to center it up, make it look nice and pretty. Okay, device ID, that's probably personal information. Browser, channel, let's see. Here we go. So on the 4th, where's channel? Let's center that information up to make it easier to read. There we go. Okay. This time is what's in question. Okay. Now on my document, gotta figure out what that time is. But this is the whole day in question, okay? Here's where I highlight. See, that's the start of the day, 5:23. Okay, that's when I finished watching John McClane, and then I started my stream, right? And I started streaming, and I can pull up another document and show, you know, the data that shows what I was streaming, but that's what's in this, is behind here. This shows my stream, like the resolution, the bit rate, right? Time, start, stop. Okay. So that's on a whole nother document that I had to put into a snapshot. Okay. So you can see, now let's highlight in red just in contrast, okay? Everything after, or we'll highlight in another color. So we've just established that 5:30's, that's wrong time. So Twitch's time is wrong because we've already established that my stream started at, 7:37 right here where it ticks my name. So that's this timeline is behind 2 hours. Okay, so after John McClane, we'll highlight him. We're gonna go up to, I stopped streaming at 11:55 is when I put in the ticket. Okay. But I didn't stop streaming until 12:35 when I rated its Koopa. Okay, so if you're following me, the timeline's off, right? It's forward actually. So when we come up to 12:35, right here is where I raid Koopa, right? So right there you can see that's the end of my stream right there. I raid Koopa. So start of my stream right here. Okay? Yeah, I watched Moeller early in the morning. Yes, I watched John McClane. I flipped back and forth between him doing map development and TRMZ. Right, did John McClane, and then I closed everything out and I started my stream on Deer Isle at not 5:37 but 7:37 in the morning. And then you can see the channels that I was a part of in column H, right? So, and it says like Apple, and you can figure out which devices I'm using, right? Because like I've got a tablet and a phone and different things. But from 7:30 to 12:30 when I rated its Koopa, right? I didn't view anybody else's channel. I had mine over here like we talked about, okay? And then you go up later in the day, so that would be 1300, 1500, right? Is when I started looking and realizing, right, that I was banned from TRMZ's stream. Later in the day, chilled out with some Deathbringer, Space Traveler, and some Miss Odd Molly, right? Now, so this shows I was in nobody's stream during that entire time that I was streaming. Okay. Now, I haven't even brushed the surface, right? There's another time over here somewhere. I think time or date or something. But again, the whole January 4th is highlighted here. Let's see, user ID, time and UTC. Okay, so I pulled that relevant information. Let's center that up, make it easier to read. Let's cut that cell over to where we're looking at. And we've got a time right here, okay? So let's just go ahead and insert that. So now we can reference what local time says and also what UTC. But to be honest, it gets confusing because of the time shift, right? So at 5:37, I started my stream, according to Twitch, but we can already prove that it's 7:37. And in UTC time, right, it says 13:37 is when I started my stream. Well, they're 6 hours ahead of me. I started at 7:30, 8:30, 9:30, 10:30, 11:30, 12:30, 1:30. Okay, so that looks on that timeline. Okay, I don't know why. Let's see, 1/4/1337. (7:30), 8:30, 9:30, 10:30, 11:30, 12:30, 1:30, 2:30, or 1:30. Yeah. So that's maybe something I got wrong when I contrasted the times. But it doesn't, to me, it doesn't matter. You can contrast the times all you want, right? Basically, I was streaming UTC time from 13:30 to 18:30. Okay. And they said, what did they say? At 11:55 my time. So they said 16:03. 16:03. This is like the closest one in here. This is when they say I was stream sniping. Okay? And that is that is actually, so if it's 12:30, right? Then that would be the time that they said I stream sniped is the time I rated its Koopa. Okay. Well, anyway, there's a whole bunch of other information down here that when I went through it, for the most part, doesn't have any relevance. But there we go. Okay. Within the time frame of me streaming, you can see the channels that I viewed, and it was myself until I rated out. Yeah. Okay, but let's go open up another document. Minutes watched. This is an interesting one. See, and then we've got minutes broadcast. That's where I can pull up the information that shows I was streaming the entire time, which is what's in the background right here on the one sheet page that I made. So you can see right here in the background, that's the I was streaming information that I pulled from the minutes broadcast. Now, we just looked at page view, and that's where, it, to me, it's said and done on there, like it shows my innocence. But if you want to keep digging through the documents, what you can do is go to minutes watched. Okay. Let's find a day again. Okay, I see a date right here. And I have to hide some personal information right quick, right? Which is like part of the reason why I didn't want to do this. this is something I could have easily gone over with them in person via screen share, and I wouldn't have to risk, doxing myself or whatever. And they didn't have the kind of, they weren't willing to look at my data unedited with me. So I had to spend hours filtering through it and building a one slide picture that tells it all, because they're lazy and didn't want to get involved with the ban that they issued. Okay, so we've got a date. Let's freeze that top pane again, because it'll drive you bonkers. View, freeze top row. All right, golden. All right, we got a date again. Let's go and find January 4th. There it is. Okay. Let's highlight all of January 4th. Not too big this time, just because of the data that it shows. Okay, day, let's center up that information so it's a bit easier to read. Channel, let's make that bigger so it's easier to read and center it up. Okay. Day, let's cut that date and put it over here next to the channel name so that it's easier to read. Insert cut cells. Okay, now we've got the day next to the name of the people that I viewed on January the 4th. This is everybody I viewed on January the 4th. Okay? Now, right here, minutes watched, unadjusted. Let's center that information up and bring it over here next to the relevant information that we're watching. Okay. So now we can look at all of the 4th of January. I can see how many minutes I watched unadjusted, and I can see the channel name in which I watched. Okay, now I can't see the specific time that when I watched it, but that's when we go back to the other document, because it shows the channels I watched at what time, right? And it already establishes that I didn't watch anybody's channel except for my own. But let's go to minutes viewed for that day, and the one in question is TRMZ, right? Okay, so right here, again, it doesn't give a specific time, but I watched 4 minutes on the 4th of January. This is probably early in the morning, like I talked about when I flip-flopped back and forth between him and John McClane. Running Man had Alteria going on, and I wanted to see some of that, right? I intended on playing Deer Isle, so I knew it was separate. I thought it'd be, good practice. If it would have said Deer Isle, I probably wouldn't have clicked on the damn thing, right? Anyway, watched a little bit of John McClane, watched a little bit of the Running Man, so 4 minutes there. And then 2 minutes there, so we're up to 6 minutes. 1 minute there and 2 minutes there. 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 minutes in total throughout the whole day. Okay. So now I can look at and use that information and say, well, yeah, I watched the TRMZ Alteria when I was flipping back and forth with John McClane. And if you look at from when I watched the Running Man in the morning, at 7:20 in the morning, if you add the entire 9 minutes that I watched for that day, then you would get 7:27 in the morning. Well, 10 minutes later, at 7:37 in the morning, is when I started streaming. Right? And then those tick marks where you see it's like 1 minute. Let's go back to the minutes watched document. Right here where you see it's like 1 minute and 2 minutes. I guarantee those are later on in the day when I realized that I'm banned from his chat. When I go and check and I'm trying to figure out like what's going on, and I pull up his and I realized I'm banned from the chat. Okay, so like 3 of the 9 minutes are accounted for me just trying to figure out that I'm banned. And then also down here at the beginning, 4 are accounted for at least when I was watching him and John McClane, right? And then 2, 1, and then there's 2 minutes there, right? So nowhere on this other document do I have anyone else's stream open during the time in question. So you figure out where the 9 minutes is at. What I can tell you is it's right here where I watched him in the morning. It is up here after I've stopped streaming because I figured out that I had been banned, right? And then up here a couple times he ticks. Let's see who I watched the most that day. It's Koopa. I rated him, so I was there, pretty good late in the day. I watched 371 minutes of It's Koopa that day. Thorzy 299, DB 274. Yeah. Now, these documents to me are the only ones with pertinent information. I've gone through all these other ones looking for anything that might help my case, but they don't really seem to yield anything that stands out at me anyway. So I know a lot of you had been asking, hey, could you go over the raw data from your document that you compiled, which is, if I can find it, which is this, right? So this is a compiled product that I took all that information to make it easy to read. And what you just saw is me going through the raw, unedited data that I had to sift through and put puzzle pieces together to bring together this one-sheeter right here. Now, anybody who matters in this situation, I invite them to get into a video call with me, and I can pull up and go over unedited data from Twitch so that they can see that this document that I've taken and highlighted is not some kind of altered false document that is some ruse or attempt to prove my innocence. This is accurate information, and it clearly shows I'm innocent. So I would be happy to go over the raw, unedited data that shows the same thing with somebody that matters. Again, I know some of my community have been asking for me to just kind of add to and show the unedited. right? So there you go. I wanted to go over that with you guys, and thanks. I'm going to go back to gaming, and I'll catch you next time. Well, I'm not going to stop streaming, at least at the moment. I do have somewhere to be in about an hour, but we're going to log back into quarantine. I'll clip all that, and I'll turn it into a YouTube that could be put out there. For now, let's load back into quarantine. If anyone has questions about any of that that's in chat, or yeah, I'm more than happy to answer questions, go over any of it that might have been off or confusing or whatever.